So for step 12, attaching the rear upper arms. Well, we've got to grab these M2 pieces, and then there are these MA5 tapping screws that have to be placed into them. And you can see here we've got to watch out for the distance, so we'll be looking at that. Then we've got to pop in these P7 balls, which I might do right away, and they just snap into place. And then we're just going to put them into the chassis and use this A5 piece to lock them in place. And of course, we're going to have to grease the ends for that as well. So there are the two M pieces, our little P pieces there, and then our hardware. So I'll set this up and let's put it together. So first off, let's pop these P7 pieces in there. All you have to do is put it in there and push, and then it'll pop into place. And you can see that's just going to sit just like that. And we can do the same thing for the other side. Put them in, and I kind of put them in that way, and then push down, and then spin it back into place. So then it moves around freely. So that part is done. So then really I guess you could say the hardest part of this step is getting these tapping screws in place. Now what I like to do is use the Allen key, but put the Allen key on it first. And then you can see here that the M2 pieces are identical. Just make sure that when you're doing this, this side has the smaller, I guess you could say, protrusion of the plastic. You can see one side's longer than the others. So the smaller one is facing out. So it's almost like the arm is kind of curled back on itself. So knowing that, this will be the left one. We're going to take our tapping screw with the Allen key, and it's going to have to go right here. Now, the M plastic is the soft plastic, so you want to be careful not to strip anything. Now I'm going to try and make sure that this is going in as level as possible all around, which funnily enough I think I've mostly done it, although you can see it's slightly off. So I want to make sure that this is going in properly. Yeah, that looks like it's about right. Okay, so we'll screw this in. Now on the BT-01, I found it didn't quite go in as I wanted a few times. That one seemed to go in exactly in the direction and in the angle that I wanted right off the bat, which is interesting. But you can see that it now starts to protrude through the bottom, and it's saying that you need 2.5 millimeters showing at the top. Now if I grab this ruler, for example, and I go to the top of that, 1, 2, well, even if I do it from the side here, let's try this. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, it's pretty much where it should be. So you can see that there's more at the top than the bottom, and that's pretty much what I've got right there. So that arm is done. So I'm going to look at this one now, because if you remember the way that this was done, it's curled back on itself, it's at the back. This one, we need to do the same thing. We want the smaller protrusion thing, but it needs to be flipped over because that's how it's going to sit. So in this case, we're going to need to put this screw at the top here, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to screw this into here. Now again, and you see it's not quite right. It's on a weird angle. So I'm going to pull that out again. Make sure that that's going in. Now that is more correct. So that's okay. I think. Might go up a little bit. Let's try this. No, it looks like it's correct. So we'll just continue here. And we'll screw this all the way down. Okay, so it's starting to come out at the bottom. And if I take a look at this one, just to see if I can match that up, it would need to go a little farther. Looks about right, but I'll do a check here. Need to go 2.5 millimeters. And that pretty much is where it's supposed to be. So they look pretty much the same. Yeah. So that is finished. So those two pieces would sit like that. So now it's a matter of grabbing our chassis. So if you can see the way that the positioning is, they need to be faced like that. So we need to grease the ends here. And I'm going to grease not only this side, but this side as well. Grease the end as well. Okay, so this side is going to fit right there in that hole, just like that. And we're going to do the same thing with the other side. Let's grease that up. Flip it around, grease this side. And I'm going to stick that right in the other hole on this side as well. There we go. And then the last thing to do is we've got this A5 piece. I've already greased the ends there, so we know that they're going to go into those holes right there. And this will slide over top of there. Slides onto there. And you can see here that there's one, or I should say there is one screw that's going right into the center right there, and we're going to screw that into place. And this is hard plastic to hard plastic, so we know that when we get to the end, we're at the end. So there are the rear upper arms in place. So step 12 is complete. I pulled out a second screw, but you only needed the one. So with 12 being finished, we're going to move on to step 13 and attach the gear differential unit.